I honestly feel like she should just move on. I don't really care what Brooke Schofield said. I honestly think if she never addressed it, she'd be better off than if she did. But once again, I don't agree with the idea of like holding her to any standard for something she said in high school, you know? If she did something horrible in high school, like if she committed a crime, I mean, that's worth talking about, you know? But she didn't even do that. She just had some dumb tweets. So I don't care what Brooke Schofield said in high school. What did Brooke Schofield do?
Brooke Schofield and Tana Mojo are certainly living up to their podcast name. Right now, Brooke Schofield is currently under fire, going viral on TikTok, and not for the best reasons. Tweets from Brooke's past have resurfaced online, and people are shocked by what they have read. This isn't anything new, though, as this has been discussed before. Brooke actually addressed this situation on Reddit previously, but that was the only place that she had actually discussed it. But since growing a massive following as of recent, especially on TikTok, she hit 2 million followers. This is something that a lot of people are seeing for the first time, and they have a lot to say about it. Brooke has also come out to address it in a TikTok. Tana is responding to the things being said. We have a lot to talk about. Old tweets from 2012 to 2015 have been going around from Brooke Schofield this week, and those seeing them for the first time have been shocked and disappointed.
You already said that. What did she say?
By them. Brooke is currently 27, and these tweets range from when she was 15 to 18.
So she was in high school? What did she say?
Now, this has been something that was brought to light before, but because Brooke has just gone viral on TikTok following the viral story surrounding her ex-boyfriend Clinton Kane, she has a ton of new eyes on her with people who didn't necessarily know her past. One of her tweets revolved around the killing of Trayvon Martin. It's from 2013, and it's one of the most talked about tweets from her right now, which she says, "Guarantee if Zimmerman shot a white guy, this wouldn't even be a story. Newsflash, this wasn't a crime of racism, it was self-defense."
So she said that in high school? People are mad because she said that in high school? George Zimmerman? This is like 2015. What even happened with Zimmerman and that kid? Because I remember this story being such a big thing. What happened with Zimmerman? He didn't even go to jail, right? It was widely reported, in a widely reported trial, Zimmerman was charged with second-degree murder for Martin's death, but acquitted by the jury after claiming self-defense. Although Martin had no weapon, the incident was reviewed by the Department of Justice for potential civil rights violations, but no additional charges were fired. What happened with Trayvon? Okay, from what I remember, George Zimmerman was like neighborhood watch. Trayvon Martin was like a 17-year-old African-American from Miami Gardens, Florida, fatally shot in Sanford, Florida by George Zimmerman, a 28-year-old Hispanic-American. We're going to read Wikipedia, the most accurate source, okay? On February 26, 2012, Zimmerman fatally shot 17-year-old African-American high school student Trayvon Martin in the retreat at Twin Lakes community in Sanford, Florida. Zimmerman was a neighborhood watch coordinator in his gated community. Martin was temporarily staying there at the time. The Twin Lakes Neighborhood Watch Program was not registered with the National Neighborhood Watch Program. It was registered by the police. Following an earlier call from Zimmerman, police arrived within 2 minutes of a gunshot during an altercation in which Zimmerman fatally shot Martin, who did not possess any weapons. Zimmerman was subsequently taken into custody, treated for head injuries, and questioned for 5 hours. Okay, so he didn't have a weapon. He shot him. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse shot people who didn't have weapons, and that was still self-defense. So did the 17-year-old like threaten him, like say it was going to kill him? Did he attack him? Like what happened here is the question, right? Because there could be a justification for this, but it also could be completely and he might have just shot some innocent kid. The police said that Zimmerman was released because there was no evidence to refute Zimmerman's claim of having acted in self-defense. Under Florida's Stand Your Ground statute, the police are prohibited by law from making an arrest. The police chief said Zimmerman had a right to defend himself with lethal force. Okay, was he... like, what did he do, though? What did the kid do? As news of the case spread, thousands of protesters across the United States called for Zimmerman's arrest and full investigation. 6 weeks after the shooting, amid widespread, intense, and in some cases misleading media coverage, Zimmerman was charged with murder by a special prosecutor appointed by Governor Rick Scott. Zimmerman's trial began on June 10, 2013 in Sanford. On July 13th, the jury acquitted Zimmerman of the charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter. For 3 years, the U.S. Department of Justice investigated Zimmerman on civil rights charges. In February 2015, the DOJ concluded there was not sufficient evidence Zimmerman intentionally violated the civil rights of Martin, saying the Zimmerman case did not meet the high standard for a federal hate crime prosecution. After the DOJ said it would not charge him with a hate crime, Zimmerman said he felt free to speak his opinion without fear of retaliation. Zimmerman criticized the government and President Obama. He believed Obama inflamed racial tensions. He by far overstretched, overreached, even broke the law in certain aspects to where you have an innocent American being prosecuted by the federal government, Zimmerman said. According to Zimmerman's brother, Robert Jr., in 2014, in the year following the trial, Zimmerman was both homeless and jobless. Robert Jr. said that while he believed his brother's state of mind was better, Zimmerman was a very traumatized person because he had his liberty taken away from him. Between the shooting of Trayvon Martin and the trial, Zimmerman gained 100 to 225 pounds. Wow, in about a 16-month period. He weighed over 300 pounds at the trial. His weight was discussed by Fox News and similar media speculation as to how it might affect the jury's speculations. Charged with murder, Governor Rick Scott. So they charged him with a hate crime. They acquitted him. Why'd they acquit him? What did Trayvon Martin do? Trayvon Benjamin Martin was an African-American high school student who lived in Miami Gardens, Florida with his mother, Sabrina Fulton. In February 2012, Martin was visiting his father, Tracy Martin, in Sanford, Florida, after receiving a 10-day suspension from Crop Senior High School. The suspension stemmed from the discovery of drug residue in Martin's book bag. George Michael Zimmerman, born October 5th, 1983, was a part-time student at Seminole State College and a neighborhood watch captain for the Retreat at Twin Lakes gated community in Sanford, Florida at the time of the shooting. I feel like I'm autistic. Why do I even care about this? I'm just going to keep going. All right, February 26, 2012, George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch captain in Sanford, Florida, calls 911 to report a suspicious person in the neighborhood. He's instructed not to get out of his SUV or approach the person. Zimmerman disregards the instructions. Moments later, neighbors report hearing gunfire. Zimmerman acknowledges that he shot Martin, claiming it was in self-defense. In a police report, Officer Timothy Smith writes that Zimmerman was bleeding from the nose and back of the head. Martin's father, Tracy Martin, files a missing persons report telling authorities that his son hasn't returned from going to the store the previous evening. Police show Martin a picture taken from the crime scene. He confirms the dead teenager is Trayvon. So March 12th, didn't get charged. March 13th, Sanford Police Department's homicide detective Christopher Serino recommends Zimmerman be charged with manslaughter. Zimmerman failed to identify himself as a concerned citizen or neighborhood watch member on 2 occasions that night. Serino reports that he thought Zimmerman's head injuries were marginally consistent with a life-threatening episode as described by him, during which neither a deadly weapon nor deadly force were deployed by Trayvon Martin. So what exactly did Trayvon, like, try to beat the shit out of him and then he shot him? Were the wounds self-inflicted? What's going on here? I feel like I don't have enough information here to know what happened. Authorities released 7 911 calls from the night of the shooting. In one of the 911 recordings, Zimmerman, against the advice of the 911 dispatcher, follows Martin. In one of the recordings, a voice screams, "Help, help," in the background, followed by the sound of a gunshot. Did he, like, hunt him down? A lawyer for the Martin family, Benjamin Crump, holds a news conference telling reporters Trayvon was on the phone with his 16-year-old girlfriend at the time of the shooting. The girl, who wished to remain anonymous, says she heard someone ask Martin what he was doing and heard Martin ask why the person was following him. According to Crump, the girl then got the impression that there was an altercation in which the earpiece fell out of Martin's ear and the connection went dead. I feel like I need more information here, but it kind of seems like from the information I do have, Zimmerman saying it was self-defense because he was attacked, and the prosecution for Zimmerman is saying he basically hunted him down, didn't identify himself as a neighborhood watchman, and killed this kid unjustifiably. Those are like the 2 kind of cases, right? Is there a good video about this somewhere? I want to see it all summarized. Trayvon Martin death, latest reconstruction.
17-year-old Trayvon Martin was walking home from 7-Eleven after buying Skittles and iced tea. Self-appointed neighborhood watch captain George Zimmerman spotted Martin and called a non-emergency police phone line.
This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
After the call ended, the dispatcher sent a patrol car. According to a version of events newly leaked by police, Zimmerman said he had stopped looking for Martin when Martin accosted him from behind. Martin then floored him with a single punch and began slamming his head into the sidewalk. The anonymous police source, who leaked the account to the Orlando Sentinel, said witnesses have corroborated this version of events. The dispatched patrol officer arrived to find Martin dead on the ground. Zimmerman reportedly was bleeding from the nose, but according to Martin's unnamed girlfriend, it was Zimmerman who instigated the confrontation. In an account given to Martin's family's lawyer and recorded by ABC News, the girlfriend said he had just called her before his death and told her he was being followed. He said he was going to lose his followers shortly before she heard Martin ask, "What are you following me for? What are you doing around here?" came the reply. She said she believes someone pushed Martin because she heard his earpiece fall and the line went dead. Neighbors who called 911 said they saw 2 men wrestling. Someone can be heard calling for help on one of the 911 calls. Seconds later, Martin was dead. Neighbors who went outside to investigate recall a nonchalant Zimmerman told them to call the police.
So we have 2 versions of events here. I don't know what happened. I mean, ultimately he wasn't charged. They didn't have enough evidence to, well, convicted. He wasn't convicted. The thing is, I don't know enough about this. Like, I need more details about this case. Zimmerman should have stayed in his car. He pressed the kid for 0 reason because he wanted to have some power trip. I think he definitely should have stayed in the car from what I can tell, but the thing is, I need to get, like, every side of this. I can see why this is such a controversial case, because the police, you know, leakers or whatever say one thing and then Trayvon's girlfriend say another thing. Witnesses don't, you know, some other witnesses see it fighting, but they don't exactly know what happened, right? Jury hears closing arguments from prosecution.
The end game began today in a racially charged, nationally watched trial in Sanford, Florida. At issue, whether George Zimmerman committed murder when he shot and killed Trayvon Martin. The prosecution made its closing arguments after the judge issued a key ruling on what the jury's options will be.
A teenager is dead. He is dead through no fault of his own. He is dead because another man made assumptions.
The final phase of the trial began this afternoon as prosecutor Bernie De La Rianda addressed the jury a last time.
Unfortunately, this is one of the last photos that will ever be taken of Trayvon morning.
Ultimately, the jury decided there wasn't enough to convict, right, of murder. I mean, ultimately, he was acquitted from what I can tell, right? Zimmerman is guilty because he is fat. So true. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I wasn't there. I don't know what I'm supposed to think about this. Like, it reads very, very bad to me that the police, he called the police. They said, don't do anything. We'll send out a squad car. And this guy then got out of the car anyway and followed the kid. Like, did he have reason to think this guy was like a threat to everyone? I don't know. Well, whatever. I don't really care if this girl was right or wrong. She was in high school. I don't really give a what she said, whether her take was good or bad. I don't think this did anything to cancel her over, but I would like to know more about that case. He was unarmed. Well, okay, but just saying he was unarmed is a bad argument because Kyle Rittenhouse, the people he shot were quote-unquote unarmed, but I think he was still justified in killing them. But the thing about this case is I don't have enough right now to know, like, did the kid attack him? What happened? He's ignoring the police. I mean, ignoring the police is completely... He shouldn't have done that. But once again, I just need more. I need more to know. It was in a gated community time. He was walking home. I mean, that seems to be the case here. Yeah, I agree. My only question is, like, because Zimmerman says this kid, like, just attacked him out of nowhere, right? And that's what he says. But then we have the thing about him getting out of the car despite the police telling him not to get out of the car. So he definitely should have done that. But the question is, like, does he get out of the car, they walk over to the pathway, and then this kid just starts beating the out of him and then he shoots him? Or did he pull out the gun first and then the kid attacks him because he sees he has a gun and doesn't know who he is? I mean, we already have evidence Zimmerman failed to identify himself as a neighborhood watchman. And, you know, he definitely should have said that. Like, I would be weirded the out if I was walking home at night and some guy was just approaching me saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I would probably punch that guy too. But I just don't know. You have all the evidence, but I don't have all the evidence. Like, I don't. I have one person saying one thing, the other side saying another thing, and he ultimately didn't go to jail because of it. So I feel like I don't have all the evidence, actually. I wasn't there, you know? To me, on first read, it reads like he was power tripping and probably should have gone to jail or something, but once again, I just need more. You know, I don't have the full story. I feel like I would need to do like 8 years of reading this shit. But regardless of what happened there, I still don't care that Brooke Schofield said this. Like, she had a bad take in high school about something. He had a hoodie on while walking in the rain, had only Skittles. Thank you for your input. I understand you're all very passionate about this and you're all very emotionally invested. I have almost no knowledge on the situation, so I can't make a judgment. But it seems to me like Zimmerman probably was... But once again, I need like a lot more.
She had actually addressed this at the time it was brought to light well over a year ago on Reddit. She posted a statement from the account that she uses on Reddit. It's not associated with her name, but she had said, I hadn't seen the Zimmerman tweets when I wrote about bad jokes, and that obviously could never be dismissed as a bad joke. It was a horrible take that I probably wholeheartedly believed at the time. I was wrong. I have spoken openly before about what I was taught growing up versus what I believe now. Growing up, it was just me and my grandpa, an 80-year-old conservative man who played Rush Limbaugh throughout the house all day. I didn't know anything about politics as a teenager, but I would listen to...
She's also a teenager. The people who are canceling her are probably teenagers themselves who have no knowledge on the situation or just assume one thing to be true based on one YouTube video they saw. Like, I don't give a f that she said this on a Reddit, or sorry, that she made a bad tweet or something, or she made a bad joke in high school. Who cares? You're supposed to have bad takes in high school.
Him and other people around me and pieced together these opinions when I truly had no idea what I was talking about. I wanted to feel like I was in the...
Especially if she grew up in like a conservative household, or, you know, even if you grow up in like a Democrat household and you have a bad take, like, you're a teenager. Like, you're not supposed to have critical thinking yet. You're supposed to be dumb.
And no, without doing any actual research. And as ashamed as I am to admit it, I didn't start to understand how wrong a lot of it was until I was an adult.
A jury acquitting Zimmerman does not mean he's innocent. Just means the evidence didn't prove he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There probably wasn't enough evidence to convict. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. True. But I don't know what happened there, you know? The court says one thing, this other stuff says another thing. I don't know. I wasn't there. I feel like I need to read like 1,800 documents to make a full conclusion on that, you know?
Once I moved to LA and was fully on my own was when I finally started actively learning and began to form my own opinions.
When you moved to Los Angeles, you became a genius.
But I understand what a privilege it is to get all the way to adulthood without having to really learn or care about politics. Most people do not have that luxury. And while, of course, I am grateful to know...
What do you mean, even if you grew up in a Democrat household? The point that I'm making is that people in high school are generally just a complete product of what their parents think. Like, I definitely was a product of what my parents' political beliefs were. Mostly my dad's. So, like, I just don't... Like, I didn't even have a real opinion. I couldn't even have a real take. I was in high school, you know? I didn't know how the world worked. My entire life was sheltered in, like, a... you know, very nice town, and I was not affected by any real issues. Not that I really am now. I still live there, but what I'm saying is, like, it's much harder to have a real opinion when you're a teenager, you're dumb. Like, I feel like whether or not you agree with what she said, you should be willing to, even if you don't agree with what she's saying now. Like, who cares that her opinion was dumb in high school? She was literally 15 to 18 years old. Like, I don't give a shit.
What I know now, I wish I put in the effort sooner. I'm sorry about the tweets, and I'm sorry to everyone who is hurt or disappointed by them. I am too, and I will do better. I will address absolutely everything, especially if people are hurt by them. I have talked about it a few times before, how I look back on things I used to think were funny and normal jokes to make, and I'm just as disturbed as you.
But you're mature now. I'm definitely not mature now. I'm more mature than I was in high school, but I imagine my opinions within 5 to 10 years will probably be different from what they are now. I could have a completely different take, you know? Who knows how I'll feel in 5 to 10 years when I change a lot, have more life experience, meet more people, read more, have more experiences. Like, your beliefs can change a lot with time. And I'm like giving this girl leeway for the fact that, like, I don't even know that she had a bad take based on what she said, but even if she did, or sorry, based on what I know of the situation, but even if she did, I don't think people should be pulling out 10-year-old tweets of a bad take someone had when they were in high school.
You are. I don't think it's normal. I don't think it's okay. Just because I was kidding or young, I think it's gross and horrible. I love you all, and I do take accountability. I hate when people say things like I didn't know better or anything along those lines, so I don't want to come across that way at all.
I mean, you didn't know better, though, is the thing. Like, you didn't. You don't gotta give leeway to these weirdos.
But I truly thought I was anti-racist at the time. You can find tweets from the same time frame where I'm saying things like...
By the way, I'm realizing how bad the blue line thing looks in regards to the Zimmerman thing. To be clear, I do not believe in the thin blue line. I don't really give a shit about it. I don't have a lot of strong political opinions. I bought this when I did the Destiny doc because I wanted to make him look bad. And I thought it was funny. I thought it'd be funny if he was seen wearing a thin blue line shirt after his Rittenhouse controversy. I don't really give a shit about this, to be honest. So I'm realizing how crazy this looks during this segment. She had these views recently and voted for Trump when she was 20 and is now trying to appear brand friendly. Just seems disingenuous. Okay, let's say she is being disingenuous. Why should I care about her political beliefs, you know? Maybe she is being disingenuous. She voted for Trump when she was 20. She's 27 now, right? It's been 7 years. Like, once again, I don't see why you're holding that against her. Or I don't see why you should hold anything against, like, if somebody votes for Trump, do you think you can't enjoy their content? Like, I don't, who cares?
I don't care if you're cute and old, being racist is ugly, etc. I just thought I was being funny, and I absolutely wasn't. I know differently now, and I try to make that known the best I can. There are family members I haven't spoken to since 2020 when I realized where they stood during Black Lives Matter, and I have grown into myself and my own belief system outside of what I grew up around. I love you guys, and I'm sorry to anyone who was hurt reading those. It was never funny. So along with the Trayvon Martin tweet, there are several other tweets that are very offensive. They're very hurtful. And though she
very offensive, very hurtful. I hate this side of the internet.
Never directly addressed these tweets on canceled by saying, you know, these tweets have resurfaced. I want to apologize.
Does she have to? It's from Twitter 10 years ago.
Here on the podcast. She has talked about her past before in a really old...
Does she have to address every single old tweet you pull out from her when she's in high school? Like, she was in high school, man. If you took everything that everybody in this chat said in high school out of context, they would all look like people. Because when you're in high school, you're a person.
Episode of Canceled, her and Tana were talking about tweets specifically, and she had said that things she had said 7 or so years ago are just not okay.
I've definitely just like tweeted awful things when I wasn't a happier, good person with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, dude, when I would like
and
6,
I know
7 years ago, even like I do not know that girl. I don't want to know what 100%. Was said on, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how much can change. Like, especially like even living in LA, I feel like I learned so much was like about like what
you shouldn't have to justify a lukewarm take you made when you were a teenager. It's not like she was turbo racist, was calling for genocide. She just said something people don't like. The thing is, even if when she was 15, she was turbo racist and called for genocide, like, unless she had like a super popular online following, as long as she doesn't agree with that now, I feel like it's not a big deal, right? Like in high school, people believe literally shit, especially with the internet. People can like believe completely shit when they're in high school. When they're in middle school, who knows what they believe, right? If somebody's a Nazi when they're 15 years old, I generally don't read into that too much, you know? If they're a Nazi when they're 25, I mean, that's a different story. But a 15-year-old thinking they're a Nazi, like, they're probably just a LARPing who has no life experience and somehow has been convinced by internet videos, right? Like, I just don't, you know. And also, like, I feel like it's a really bad culture of, like, if somebody's 15, they have, like, a horrible take and they're saying crazy shit, even if it does align with, like, some horrible political ideology, right? If they change and then what you do is you go through their past to, like, call them out for it. First of all, what that does on one hand is it makes them feel pressured to, like, first of all, never say how they really feel. if their opinion has changed. They're going to be terrified of their past. And on top of that, like when you take someone who's 15 years old and you vilify them on the internet for what they believe, you publicize it forever. You make them look forever. You potentially ruin their life when they're in high school, okay? And that could follow them for the rest of their life for something dumb they believe when they were 15. And on top of that, the other thing that it does, okay, which is potentially even worse, is it can further radicalize them by separating them from everyone else. Like, imagine you're in high school, you believe something really dumb. Let's say you're super politically right-wing or super politically left-wing. If you believe something dumb, should you be, like, criticized for it? Yes. Should it be talked about? Yes. But does it need to be talked about on a YouTube video with, like, 1 million views where you're calling this person a piece of shit? I feel like the solution to a 15-year-old thinking something, just like get them off the internet and like talk to them and have them meet real people, right? Instead of like further radicalizing them. You're literally fence riding. How the fuck am I fence riding? How am I fence riding? This is the opposite of fence riding. How the fuck am I fence riding? Russian name. Tell me how I'm fence riding right now for thinking that a high schooler shouldn't have their life ruined for thinking something dumb when they're 14, 15, 16 years old. How am I fence riding? Explain yourself now, or you're getting banned in my chat. Explain now.
You can and cannot say
100%.
that I did not know in Arizona. Oh God.
And this is
One guide, yes, we are going through a chat 1984 moment. If you say something and don't justify it, you're banned. No? Okay, let's find your username and ban you forever. You're fence rating. You're one guying. Yes, I'm one guying you. You are the one person in my chat. Your IQ is too low to deserve the right to an opinion in my YouTube chat. Are they even old enough to afford an ideology? When you're 15, not really. No.
pretty similar to what Brooke ended up saying when she addressed the situation on TikTok this weekend. She posted a video where she talked about how she grew up and why she said what she said and believed the things she did.
All right, you guys, I have had a lot to say about accountability lately and how important it is and how far it can go, and I feel like I'm not taking my own advice. Obviously, by now you guys have seen the tweets that are circulating around. They unfortunately are not fake. Those are real tweets, like real things that I said. First of all, I want to acknowledge that I feel the same way about them that you do. I think they're so disturbing, they're wrong, they're horrible, and they're disgusting. Of course, I do appreciate the people who are coming to bat for me and like saying like, you know, it was so long ago and like she's grown and stuff, but like it doesn't, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like it literally does not matter.
She shouldn't have cultivated a different audience. She didn't want people to be mad. She's pandering to Gen Z left girlies. I mean, she's just pandering to the widest audience possible, and those people happen to be in the audience, right? But she's not like making political content from what I've seen. What does Brooke Schofield even do? Brooke Schofield apologized for her racist tweets. Black creators say it's not enough. Great. What does she do on TikTok?
I've had quite a few moments where I'm like, what? You guys, update. We've named the kitten. Oh, he also got fixed. Look at his little thing, brought summer.
Is she pandering to leftist content creators with the cat video?
We've named him Mouse.
She's just like posting white chick content with her cat.
You guys look at the size of the bouquet I just got.
She's just doing girl stuff like showing off flowers and her cute cat. Like, what is she doing wrong?
Okay, guys, I'm like, how long does it take for cats to start liking each other, asking for a friend?
She blew up for exposing her ex-boyfriend. What'd she say about her ex-boyfriend? Brooke Schofield claims that ex-boyfriend Clinton Kane lied about his mom's death. Explained. Clinton Kane responded with a 14-part series of 29 videos of his own. Oh my, this is a rabbit hole. Rabbit hole alert. Who is Clinton Kane? This guy? Stylecaster. They're gonna explain it for us. All right. If you've spent any time on TikTok recently, you probably know that Brooke Schofield has accused her ex, Clinton Kane, of some truly wild things. Chiefly that his mom isn't dead and that he's not Australian as he claimed while they were dating. Depending on who you ask, the canceled podcaster and musician were either in a relationship for 3 or 6 months in late 2021 and early 2022. All right, when they met, don't care. In July 2022, Kane spoke about his mother's death on the Zach Sang show and laughed when host Sang used the present tense when describing Kane's mom. Sang said his mom is a Pentecostal pastor, which immediately made Kane chuckle. Was, he laughed, adding, my mom's dead. Kane said to the camera. According to Schofield, Kane tried to get the video taken down. Trawling through the comment section of the YouTube video, she says she found someone claiming to have grown up with Kane in Brunei, so he's not from Perth, Australia, and that his mom was very much alive. Schofield then says she was able to find his mom on Facebook. When she confronted him about the apparent lie, she said Kane made her feel so horrible for ever possibly accusing him of knowing about something like that. So they end up breaking up. Kane seemingly shades Brooke. Okay, so he shades her. Ooh, he shades her. So then she exposes him about how he's apparently lying about his mom dying, and he responds. In a statement, Kane's rep confirmed that Kane and Schofield had a brief 3-month relationship over 2 years ago, and her recent comments are untrue. The public rehashing of these details is only an attempt to bring attention and focus on Brooke's podcast at the expense of tearing down her former boyfriend. Kane was born in the Philippines and lived in Australia for a time as a child. Despite moving frequently, he considers Australia to be his home. He's never been disingenuous about this. When it comes to his mother, his rep clarified that Kane was lucky enough to have a very special mother-like figure in his teenage years who sadly passed away. Kane regrets the way this devastating news was communicated at the time and genuinely felt that he lost an irreplaceable mother figure. Kane was largely and is estranged from his immediate family. Okay, so he says his mom died. She says he's alive. She says that the mom's alive. He says, I had a mother-like figure That's not my mom. I mean, it seems interesting, extremely petty so far, but he started it by shading her. When you've been in a relationship for 2 years and she won't stop yapping, he accuses her of yapping. And then she fires back.
They are horrible. I want to talk about particularly the Trayvon George Zimmerman situation. I try not to be so emotional because I don't want it to seem like it's like a sympathy thing at all. I also don't want to blame anybody else at all. And so I'm trying like to be really careful about that. I just want to explain like and give some context into like my mindset at the time. Because I have seen like some comments today that are like, well, no, she's racist, like white Nepo baby, like a little like spoiled brat. Like, and that was not my situation. And my parents were addicts, so I was adopted by my grandparents when I was like 10, and I grew up with them from that point on. And as is true for a lot of grandparents, they're a little bit less progressive than a lot of us are now. My grandma has dementia, so it was really just like me and my grandpa. And he is a very, very right-wing conservative man, okay? It was like my household was literally just Fox News all the time.
She talked about how Matt Rife cheated on her with multiple girls. Based. I mean, let's be honest, guys. If you're Matt Rife, like, I'm not saying cheating is good. But what I am saying is that if you're Matt Rife, it's kind of hard to not cheat. That's all I'm saying. I don't particularly care that he cheated on her. It's not my problem, you know? He shouldn't have done that. That's not nice, but, like, I'm not surprised or affected by that personally. He was a bad boyfriend.
Rush Limbaugh, like, if you guys know who that is, like, playing literally all day long through the house, and that was just, like, the only thing ever that I had been exposed to. A lot of you guys have also seen my mom's Twitter because she...
I feel like this is a perfectly fine explanation of, like, I don't see why anyone's holding this old stuff against her. Maybe was it brought up because she personally called out her ex-boyfriend? So then it came up? Is that it? Well, I would only not feel bad for her if she lied about her ex-boyfriend. But even if she did, I still don't think we should be holding her to a standard of stuff she said in high school, right? A lot of non-black people in the comments accept her apology. The apology isn't for you if you aren't black. Wow, amazing. Great comment. Really insightful and interesting, and I got a lot out of that personally.
She was responding back and forth about the Trayvon Martin situation, and I just should have known better. I know her, and I should have known that she's not somebody that I take any sort of political insight.
I believe cheating is a major sign of weakness. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not a good thing to do, but it's just like, I don't personally care that some celebrity cheated on their girlfriend, you know? I'm like, it's not my problem. I don't know. Maybe I don't watch enough couple content on YouTube, but I personally would not care.
From at all. Again, sometimes you like have these people that you like put on a pedestal and you think everybody older than you is smarter than you and knows everything, and they do not.
She admitted that she didn't know better, even though people felt like she was old enough to know better in regards to some of the things that she had tweeted.
Truthfully,
she seems like she's only apologizing because of pressure. She doesn't take me as someone that actually cares about what she did. Well, I can't know that. You know, if she has a consistent stream of doing stuff like this, like Danny Gonzalez, then I'd be like, okay, you're... But, like, apologizing for something she said in high school, I mean, realistically, when you're at the level that she's at, you're trying to keep brand deals, you're trying to maintain your audience, you know, she's making that much money. Like, this is kind of the response she probably feels like she has to say. No, she doesn't actually feel bad for it. I would definitely criticize her for that. But I don't know. I don't really care if she says something in high school. 15, old enough to know better. I hope you're joking.
It took me a really long time. Like, I know some of the tweets I was like 18 and people are like, yeah, like she was old enough to know better. And like, honest to God, you guys, it wasn't until like even after college that I really started to like shift my way of thinking. And there are people...
The thing is, when you're 18 or old enough to know better, maybe it depends on the person, but what I will say is, like, she's 27 now. Like, it's been 9 years. I don't really care.
In my life, who I might have looked up to forever, who I do not agree with. And I think it's amazing now that people are, like, learning earlier on about politics and, like, forming their own opinions outside of, like, what their parents think or what they're hearing or whatever it is. But
No, I was responding to idiots saying she was old enough to know better at 15. I was saying, no, that's not old enough to know better. Yeah, I agree.
It just wasn't the case for me. Whatever I heard, I passed on.
She ends with an apology and that she doesn't think this way now, and says that she had been getting messages about her old tweets and that she thought bringing more attention to it would hurt more people, so she didn't.
This, like, influencer look is not good. I hate to be that guy, but I feel like she would be more attractive if she wasn't doing whatever this, like, James Charles Botox thing is.
Say anything, but admitted that she should have said something sooner.
I'm sorry, very, very sorry to anybody who is hurt by the tweets, because obviously they are very hurt.
Why are they hurt? Why do people get hurt by stuff they see in a comment section? As a white person, if you're white, Brooke's apology wasn't for us. It's such a cucked, like, opinion to even have. If you're white, it's not for you. Well, like a self-hating, like, white victim complex thing is so stupid. I just feel like as a white person, I need to remind all white people, this is not our apology to accept. As much as I like Brooke, it's not meant for us. We can't be upset by it. We can be upset by it, but it's not ours. Why not? You can't have an opinion on a black kid dying if you're white? If a white person dies, are black people not like allowed to be upset about that? What? You're such a W streamer. I'd give it 50, but I'm broke. Thanks. I hate like the self-hating, like this isn't for me, like white people shit. It's so cringe, bro. Like I just hate it. Okay, like segregating opinions, yeah, literally
hurtful. Like a lot of it is just like what, like why would I even say that? And I apologize for not having said something sooner. I just felt like I was getting these messages from people who like were hurt by them, and I felt like by bringing more attention.
Also, like these tweets weren't even made to those people. They were like before she was famous to some idiots on Twitter. And she was in high school. Like it wasn't made for you. You go out of your way to be offended by this kind of thing.
I was just going to be hurting more people, and that was not the right mindset. I should have said something sooner, and I would never let something go this far again. Like, I love you all so much, and obviously I know that there are some people who are just like not going to care for me anymore, and like I understand that. I need you to know that like is not how I think, that is not what I believe, and I am 27 years old now. I've had so much time to like learn and grow and like formulate my own opinions, and they are nothing like they were when I was 17, 18 years old.
Tana ended up commenting saying, "We grew up bad, I love you, and growth from it is the biggest form of prevailing," which she ended up deleting, and then later saying, "Listen, she was raised by people with these thoughts. She immediately moved to LA and grew. She is so smart and knows this was wrong. Love her like I do with her current views, open and accepting."
I guess they went after Tana after that because she said the N-word 10 years ago.
Tana's past is also being discussed again.
Yeah, there we go. Tana's past is also being discussed again.
As she's spoken out about the Brooke situation. Tana has done several apology videos over the years, and people have been pointing out that it's just one of the reasons why they aren't insanely shocked by Brooke's tweets, just because Tana also has a past of doing this, and people are like, well, birds of a feather. But overall, most were disappointed, leaving comments saying they were rooting for Brooke and that this just left them with a different feeling about her. Some have defended her for her age at the time, while others feel as though that's not a valid excuse. Some are saying
it is a valid excuse. It literally is.
Her apology, while others are arguing that.
All right, what did Sweetie Pie have to say? What did Brett Cooper have to say? Ooh, do her old tweets justify TikTok's outrage? Let's see. She's got a nice little sports-related shirt on there. One day ago.
Buckle up, because yet another influencer has had a fall from grace at the hands of the progressive mob.
Oh, right.
But you probably guessed it.
Much better editing in this one, I gotta say.
For the most absolutely ridiculous reason. Now, we actually talked about this woman just a couple of weeks ago, so this is kind of a fun callback.
Ooh, it's a fun callback. I love a good callback.
A 2.0 episode, if you will.
2.0.
Today's victim is Brooke Schofield, and
she's a victim.
The girl who did the 15-part series about her pathological, lying, crazy ex, Clinton Kane, who happens to be a very well-known singer. And if you guys have not watched that episode that I did, or heard that story, or watched her TikTok series, go click on the link below and go watch it, because you'll be missing some important context.
All right, I'm gonna watch it. I don't want to miss the important context, okay? Brooke Schofield, Brett Cooper. Here we go. Wow.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So guys,
Hello,
you
Brett.
know I love a juicy
The outfit's better today.
story. There is
A juicy. I feel like the audio's a little loud. I feel like it's like in my ears.
nothing better. A few months ago, we did a whole episode. It was a breakdown of Risa Tisa and her 50-plus part TikTok series called Who the F Did I Marry? It was so insane. It's a very long series, so you can go watch our episode and get a breakdown. Or if you're really into it, if you have like a road trip that you can just log on to and listen to it, go on TikTok. It is hours, but it is captivating. She details how she met, fell in love with, married, and then divorced a literal certified pathological liar who lied about his family, his money, his work, like went to the lengths of having fake screenshots pulled up with fake bank accounts, everything. Went to such lengths to hide all of this. And we were all glued to the story. Like, wow, this is wild. I can't believe it happened, because it seemed so absurd and
It seems so absurd.
outlandish. It seemed like it was kind of a one-off situation, but apparently it's not. Apparently this has happened again with a different couple. The ex-girlfriend of a very famous musician has come forward and did her own version of the Who the F Did I Marry to detail how she realized that this man, allegedly, was a similar pathological liar who lied about the death of his entire family, allegedly, in order to get ahead in his career. I'm being totally serious. We have to get into this. Before we do, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the comment section channel if you've not already, and then rate.
It reads to me like he did lie, because he did literally say my mother in that one clip. And after he's like, it's a woman who I call my mother, but she's not my mother, but she did die. It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you would have explained that feel like it would have explained that.
That notification bell so that you never miss one of our uploads. All right, so the man in question, the musician in question, is Clinton Kane. He blew up around 2019, really did in 2020 when everybody was glued to their phones watching TikTok, after he had a few covers blow up on YouTube, and then quickly after he started releasing music and again blew up on TikTok. It was a whole thing. And to this day, I think that his most famous song is still I Think I'm in Love. I mean, it's incredible. It has been streamed millions upon millions of times. It is a huge wedding song. We even considered using it in our wedding. It's just super emotional, very passionate, and people just quickly became obsessed.
It's very passionate
With him because
they became obsessed with him.
He was so vulnerable and open with his audience.
He was so vulnerable and open. Ooh. I love vulnerable, open people. It's my favorite thing. Why does she look like if Ben Shapiro was a girl? Well, she does work for his company, so.
And when he hit the scene in, 2020, 2021, he just had a wild story. So he had released that single, and then he wrote this entire new album. And when he went on the press tour for this album in late 2021, I think.
She's married. It's over. Hey, marriages end. You never know.
Told the world that last year, his mom, his dad, and his brother had all died in that same year, and that these tragedies, these awful, awful things that had happened in his family had informed his art. And obviously, everybody who was listening to his music was like, oh my gosh, this man is like incredible. This is amazing. How is he even performing? How is he writing this music? I mean, like, I was like obsessed with his music. Like, it really became a huge story. He was such a new artist, and he was even written about in like the Grammy Awards publication. I have that headline right here. How Clinton Kane's trauma became his truth on Maybe Someday It'll All Be Okay. That's his album name. In 1 year, Clinton Kane lost 3 family members. But through the grieving, he found solace in songs that became his debut album. And suddenly his pain turned into hope. And if you want to hear him talking about this, here he is on a now infamous podcast episode.
Your mom passed?
Yeah.
Your brother passed? And your dad passed?
1 year, yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself because I've already told you guys that he's lying about all of this. Allegedly.
Ooh, just brought it back, allegedly. Brought it back.
Just like watch this with that in mind. It's so much worse. Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot. Chicken Tendies is actually...
That makes it even better that the song is called Chicken Tendies. And it's a great song. It's a great song. But the whole thing is like, do we live in a simulation? Like, God, what are you doing? Like, there's a man allegedly lying about all of his family dying. He's written about it in a song called Chicken Tendies. And now he's sitting here on this podcast. We all have to take it seriously. For years, we believed this. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I mean, Chicken Tendies is actually about losing my mom. And I had a talk with my publicist about explaining how to explain... Because I wasn't ready to talk about it yet last year, about, like, losing my mom. But she passed away like 2-3 weeks after the song came out, after Chicken Tendies came out. That's why like I had to take a break, and there was like a lot of start and stopping.
So already there's some hypocrisy here because he's saying the song is about losing my mom, but I lost my mom after the song came out. Then he was like, I'm not ready to talk about it yet. Was it because that didn't happen? Allegedly, there are also some deleted clips of him saying that it wasn't really about his mom dying, but that he lost her to religion because she's allegedly a pastor. I'm not guiding.
Wait, what? He just said she died.
There is so much happening here, and we are just a few minutes into this.
But my publicist and I found a way to like make it seem real enough, because it's still real, like losing her to religion. But I have.
Wait, you did kind of lose her before she was gone, right? Because you didn't have much of a relationship with her.
No, it was all gone. It was already complicated before.
So he's been calling it the same thing. I lost my mom, but was it?
He seems like he's lying there, bro. We're getting a red flag. Seems like he's lying.
To religion, or was it to death? And in a lot of these clips, it's very difficult to distinguish. And after people watched that episode of the Zach Sang Show, that is that podcast, people started to get suspicious, especially after YouTube commenters who alleged that they knew him growing up and grew up with him said that this was all fake. One person said, it's great that he's doing well for himself, but I'm just gonna say it. Most of the things that he said about himself is BS. I personally knew this guy in high school, and at one point his mom worked with my dad long ago. This guy legit faked it till he made it. But other than the lies and the BS he spews, he's a very talented singer.
I'm so confused about why you would even lie about something like that when your music's already so good, right? Like, I get it makes it more relatable to the audience, but do you really need that? Like, to lie in interviews? Like, you can just sing sad songs about stuff if you didn't even go through anything, you know? There's a lot of musicians I like who write really sad music, and then you look into it, and every single sad song is just about some girl that, like, left them or something, and, like, you know, obviously it's like relatively shallow subject material compared to like some other people who are singing about like drug addiction or serious trauma. But I feel like you don't necessarily need like the horrible backstory. Like it's like pathological lying for pity points. It's nuts. YouTube comment goes real well. They're saying the YouTube comment sparked it. There's more here, obviously. They're not saying the YouTube comment is not proof in and of itself.
He is. He's an amazing songwriter who's very talented. Just sharing my thoughts because seeing him in this interview and hearing the crap he says is wild. And then another person a year ago says, I went to school with Clinton and I know for a fact that he grew up in Brunei. And that's important because he always says that he is Australian and that he grew up in Australia and that's why he sort of has an Australian accent. Okay, moving on. We went to a school called Seri Mulia Sarjana. Hopefully I didn't butcher that, guys. For both our primary and secondary education. So not sure where this Australian accent came from. Additionally, I knew of his mom and brother back when I was younger, 15, 16, and I know for a fact that they are alive and well. So what's going on? Why make such a huge publicity stunt for fame when you could have...
Serious allegations at the start, okay? Serious allegations. Brett Cooper is mid hexacorn. You're a hater, and you will be banned in my chat promptly if you say that again, okay? Leave her alone! Leave her alone!
Gotten it with raw talent. No doubt that Clinton always had a passion for music, etc. But what I'm not sure about is why you had to make such a bold move to further your career. Best of luck to you, though. And then after this, people started to collect the evidence. But it really didn't get a lot of traction. But these videos were out there.
Okay, wait. Clinton Kane might have lied about his mom, dad, and brother being dead. This is how I know I've been online for like far too long today. Okay, basically a lot of people, including Brooke Schofield, his ex-girlfriend, and also like big time famous podcaster and YouTuber, is saying that people have like started to comment on things about him and they're like, wait, I know him in real life and his family is alive and well. And then I just saw this video from this gal who talks about how like she knew him way back when and he was on her roster, and
which means that it was like one of the guys that she was dating.
He told her then that his brother had died, like while they were together. And she was like, what? And like 4 days before that, he had told her once already that his brother had just died. And then...
So he was lying to girls, it seems like, allegedly. And it seems like he was also lying to the public. And that's why it ended up coming out. He couldn't keep the lies private. He had to publicize them for a pity.
And called her and told her that he died, and she was like, wait a minute, allegedly. I thought this was interesting too. Like it was kind of a random website, so I don't know how reliable the information is, but it's talking about how was born to a Filipino father and Norwegian mother. He was raised by a single mother and then has 2 brothers, which definitely like doesn't sound right, but there's just like a lot of
this page could be, bullshit, You can't trust these pages.
Information on the internet about his family, which is also something that is like really kind of question marky. Allegedly. And in this interview on the Zach Sang show, he talks all about, he's like, my mom is dead. My mom is dead. And then he like does this like laugh and like covers his mouth and stuff. And it's like, it's very clear that he is talking about how his family is no longer Earthside. And then you go to his Wikipedia and there's no information about his...
I mean, guys, literally nothing. You Google mom, dad, it is like they have been wiped from the internet. And obviously most people do not know their names. You cannot even find their names anywhere. And this is a famous individual. And usually when you Google somebody, like even me, I think...
Well, in fairness, he recently became famous. So that's not necessarily a red flag. I mean, a lot of famous people don't have any personal info out there, especially if he blew up on TikTok. It's not like he's like a normal celebrity, necessarily, but definitely, triggering some red flags in my mind, guys.
When you Google me, it's like, oh, her parents are Diane and Mike. My parents aren't public figures by any means, but that information is out there. But all information about his family is very, very conflicting or just non-existent whatsoever. And everything that girl speculated in her TikTok from months ago lines up with the bits and pieces of things that Clinton's ex-girlfriend, which she mentioned in the video, Brooke, an influencer and pod, has also said about him.
All right, so let's skip to Brooke. Let's get past the ad read.
This video was the final nail in the coffin. This is the summary.
I will spare you guys the details of how I found out that I was getting cheated on.
Don't spare details. That was the one bad thing about this. I was like, you've taken me on this 12-episode ride. Give me the tea. But apparently that is not as important to the story as finding out that he lied about his family being dead. Okay.
Y'all have seen it.
True.
I'm like, was I wrong to think I didn't really have to worry about that? It's truly amazing what he was able to accomplish. But he was, in fact, cheating on me with so many people.
Also, guys, some other important context. The song, I Think I'm in Love, his very, very viral, first ever, very popular song, was written about his other ex-girlfriend. And he told everybody, including Brooke, who he was dating at the time, that this girl had cheated on him and that she broke his heart. And then... after Brooke went public with Clinton and their relationship, hard launched him. This is, 4 or 5 months into their new relationship. She gets all of the...
Okay, I'm sorry. This is getting a little pedantic. I don't care. What does she have to say about the old tweets, though? Let's see this.
That will tell you why we have gotten where we are today. Because Brooke was already relatively famous on social media before she did that series. But her story time about her ex absolutely skyrocketed her fame, notoriety. I mean, she was getting millions upon millions upon millions.
A little too fast. Jeez. Sorry, Ben.
Of views just telling the story. I mean, the entire internet, people who don't even care about influencers and her podcast were rallying behind her because of the insanity of the story and because she's just super funny and she had great comedic timing as she was taking everyone, again, on this just insane narrative. And people really thought that she had the whole package, like she was the next big thing. She and another YouTuber, Tana Mongo, who you guys probably remember from Jake Paul and David Dobrik, they have a podcast called Cancel. They've been doing a year-long tour where they've been doing it live.
It's so interesting, this like right-wing influencer is like based around like this like normie like TikTok influencer drama. Like, it's so fascinating because typically all the people who watch this shit are very left-wing, right? Or maybe not very left-wing, at the very least like progressives, and she's not at all. She's like, Daily Wire has like invaded this space with this show, just like manufactured it. It's amazing. She's literally like an industry plant. Like, she is an industry plant. I think she says she writes her videos. I don't believe that, but maybe she does, who knows. But like, she just like came out on Daily Wire with like these perfectly produced videos, perfectly produced commentary videos where she just like talks about stuff. She's got like this nice little set and everything. It's like a commentary channel created by a giant like media conglomerate. Well, a giant media corporation, right? The Daily Wire. It's really interesting.
Their fame was only growing. She was on the up and up is basically what I'm trying to tell you. But as Brooke continued to get more famous and garner more fans, she also garnered more enemies. Or maybe just snoops who decided to dig up some of her old tweets. And I think you know where the story is going. But before we dive into how just dumb this is, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the comment section channel if you have not
I'll like it again. I'm already subscribed with the bell on.
already. And of course, hit that notification bell so that you never miss one of our
I did,
Brett.
Brett.
So allegedly, people on Reddit in the like r/influencer snark and the Brooke Schofield Reddit page had already seen.
I forgot, everybody has like a snark subreddit. All these influencers have like the main subreddit and then there's like a snark one. Like H3 is like a snark subreddit of like H3 haters that just are like dedicated to like following him and hating him. It's kind of interesting. And a lot of them don't hate him for the reasons that I used to hate him, or would still hate him a little bit. But a lot of them are like mad about Hassan stuff. They're mad that he like cut it off with Hassan. Like, it's so interesting.
These scandalous tweets a couple of years ago, they had been sitting on them for at least a year. But last week, somebody decided that now was the time to take it all very public. And so they blasted all of these screenshots on TikTok and X, and they spread like wildfire. And the fact that these tweets had been online and talked about over the past couple of years leads me to believe that this attack was very vindictive and intentional. And people have even suggested that maybe it was her ex, Clinton Kane, angry that she exposed him for faking his identity and the death of his parents. Again, the story's wild, go watch. But regardless, what they exposed, this scandal, is so absurd. It is literally so dumb. And yet Brooke has been fighting for her life online for days, crying and begging people to forgive her. Meanwhile, her fans comment things like this. She's inherently evil and 1,000% racist.
Oh my God. That woman definitely has weird skeletons in her closet. Carolina Palmer said the N-word 1 million times. I'm calling it.
Just needs to go away. Somebody else said, yo, white people scare me. LOL, shit is so wild to think that she said those things and actively
white people scare me.
That was just to show you how heated all of this has become. So you might be thinking, oh gosh, what are these tweets? Let's read them. Let's read what
them.
Controversial
Why is Kung Fu Panda there?
thing she said. All right, number one.
That's such a weird clip.
I said so many accidentally racist things last night. I don't even know how I made it back to America. That was in 2015. Okay. Somebody else said, why do I have the most ratchet hair ever? And then she replied to that tweet and said, oh my God, I swear I had nappier hair this morning than most African Americans on the end of our country.
Whoa.
Hashtag Afro. Are you offended yet? Are you triggered? Are you
I'm triggered.
Literally shaking and
I'm
crying?
shaking. I'm triggered, Brad. I'm triggered. Not for you, though.
Because those were so bad, because people online literally are doing that. All right, here's another one. You can't trade lap dances for cheeseburgers because after a little while, no one will want a lap dance from a fat person.
They're mad about that. People are still mad about people shitting on fat people. I didn't think this was still a thing people were mad about. Fat shaming? They're mad about that?
What? And maybe this is because I'm just not
Why was that there? Wait, what does that have to do with the deep? I don't totally get it.
Logically savvy, but how do you even find these tweets? These are like 10 plus years old. What are you searching for? I don't even want to know what your search history is, which actually you can protect with ExpressVPN because
whoa, so true.
Private or deleting all of it, which is apparently what a lot of influencers do these days. We're going to end this girl's career because of these tweets. Okay, here's another one. I sure was
so cringe.
I didn't have to dress like a for work. Okay,
she said it. She's base, guys. She said the slur. Once again, I told you, this is our girl, guys. This is our girl.
This one was my personal favorite. What do you call a Mexican baptism? Bean dip. Like, it's kind of
destroyed.
And this one specifically cracked me up because all of the triggered black fans of Brooks were like, yes, Mexicans, aren't you?
All the triggered black fans.
I'm so offended. This is so awful.
They're like, nah, dude, we don't actually care, dude. Like, that's like what my quinceañera was like, dude. Like, I don't give a fuck. Hey, homie, ain't you mad? Nah, dude, like, I honestly, like, don't give a dude. Like, who cares, bro? Like, you know, like, I be hopping borders and shit, man. Like, whatever, dude.
All of these Mexican fans of hers were making videos being like, not gonna lie, that was pretty funny. Yeah, I don't really care. It's just the BLM crowd that is so freaked out. Now, this is the tweet that really did her in. Guarantee if Zimmerman shot a white guy, this wouldn't even be a story. Newsflash, this wasn't a crime of racism, it was self-defense. That tweet, if you don't know what she's talking about just from that, is about the controversial death of a young black man named Trayvon Martin. And that was one of the first instances that sparked the creation of BLM as an organization and as a movement. And we all know those stories and those narratives are ones that you cannot disagree with.
So true.
If you do, you will be labeled a racist and a bigot. We
Exactly.
all know that.
Just like chat tried to do to me.
Because we lived through BLM in 2020. So basically, all of these tweets came out. People were blasting her on every single platform.
So what does Brett think about George Floyd?
Calling for her to be canceled, labeling her a racist, literally immediately within 30 minutes. And so, in classic fashion, about 48 hours later, she made an apology video on her TikTok, a video that has now garnered over 10 million views. And the thing that stood out to me the most that I want you to watch for was that in her effort to appease people and get people to empathize with her, she threw her grandparents, who raised her, under the bus.
Disgusting.
And you see those tweets. As Brooke is tweeting about Trayvon Martin, she and her estranged mother are going back and forth, and her mom is being like, I'm so proud of you.
Sped up my bean burrito I made with my mom's carne asada at that. So base coming from a Mexican.
You understand, you have common sense, and she's going back and forth, and they're talking about the case and how it was done in self-defense. This was not a murder. So that is kind of the extra context there. Now I'm just gonna cut her off right here. The rest of this video, you can go watch it if you want, is just her crying and trying to tell people that she's changed.
Cringe.
But
Major cringe.
like, come on. Like, I do not think that these tweets are that bad at all. And your
True, I agree.
grandparents put their retirement on hold to adopt you, to take you in, to raise you. They did nothing wrong. They did all the right thing.
All they did is listen to a little Rush Limbaugh, and now you call them out. It's disgusting, frankly.
And you're using them as your scapegoat, which just feels completely wrong. And so on that note, let's just say that no one really liked that apology. Somebody commented and said, is this all of it? Like, that's the whole apology?
Damn, base. Address the Brett Cooper gooning allegations right now. Is that really an allegation? I feel like that's a decided matter. Thanks for the 2.
Apology. So she saw all of those comments because the majority of comments under that almost 11 million view video were unhappy. They felt like this was not authentic. She wasn't being genuine. It wasn't a real apology. So she came back for more to try and appease the mob for a second time. She said that she had done even more reflecting and she needed to do.
I honestly feel like she should just move on. I don't really care what Brooke Schofield said. I honestly think if she never addressed it, she'd be better off than if she did. But once again, I don't agree with the idea of like holding her to any standard for something she said in high school when she was like a dumbass, you know? If she did something horrible in high school, like if she committed a crime, I mean, that's worth talking about, you know? I do believe in some kind of rehabilitative justice, depending on what she did, but, you know, she didn't even do that. She just had some dumb tweets, so I don't care what Brooke Schofield said in high school, and it seems to me, from what I can see, that her ex-boyfriend also did lie about his family, which is crazy.